Every once in a while, a story comes along that reminds us why we never give up. A story of grit, hunger, and the refusal to accept defeat. This isn't about luck or inheritance. This is about a boy who started with nothing, no money, no connections, not even a college degree, yet rose to become one of the most powerful billionaires on the planet. At first, you might think of Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, but this story is even more unbelievable because this young man grew up in a family so poor that they couldn't even afford proper shoes. And still, he built a global empire that changed how the world eats, drinks, and dreams of success. Let's dive into the impossible life of Howard Schultz, the man who turned coffee into a multi-billion-dollar revolution, a childhood of struggle and scarcity. Howard Schultz was born in 1953 in Brooklyn, New York, into a poor working-class family. His father was a truck driver who broke his ankle on the job when Howard was just 7 years old. With no health insurance, no savings, and no worker protection, the family quickly spiraled into poverty. Howard often recalled those moments as the defining pain of his life, watching his proud, hard-working father completely lose hope. It wasn't just about money, it was about dignity. He promised himself that one day he would build a company that treated workers better than his father was treated. The Schultz family lived in public housing, surviving paycheck to paycheck. Howard's escape came in the form of sports. He earned a football scholarship to Northern Michigan University, the first in his family to attend college. But even there, he worked multiple jobs to afford meals and books. When he graduated, he had no connections, no family wealth, just drive. The job that changed everything. After a series of sales jobs, Schultz landed a role at a small Swedish coffee maker company called Hammerplast. His job? Selling drip coffee machines to restaurants and offices. One of his clients was a tiny Seattle-based coffee bean store named Starbucks. Yes, that's Starbucks. At the time, Starbucks had just 4 stores. They didn't even sell coffee to drink, only beans and equipment. But something about the company fascinated Schultz, their passion for quality, their obsession with aroma, and their belief in doing things differently. During a trip to Milan, Italy, Schultz had his light bulb moment. He saw espresso bars everywhere, filled with laughter, warmth, and connection. It wasn't just about coffee, it was about community. He realized that America had never seen coffee culture like this before. The dream nobody believed in. Schultz rushed back to Seattle and pitched the idea. Let's turn Starbucks into an Italian-style cafe where people come not just to buy coffee, but to experience it. The founders hated it. They told him Starbucks was a coffee bean company, not a cafe. They thought the idea was foolish, but Howard didn't back down. In 1985, he left Starbucks and started his own coffee shop called Il Giornale, inspired by the Italian coffee bars he loved. He poured in his savings, begged investors for funding, and worked 16-hour days making cappuccinos himself. The first few months were brutal, long hours, low sales, constant rejection. Investors told him, Americans will never pay $3 for a cup of coffee. But slowly, people began to line up. The turning point, buying Starbucks. In 1987, Schultz got the call that changed everything. The original Starbucks founders wanted to sell their business. Howard didn't have the money, but he had the vision. He scrambled to raise $3.8 million from local investors, convincing them that Starbucks could become a global household name. And when he finally bought it, he merged it with his own small chain. That moment marked the birth of the Starbucks we know today. From a few stores in Seattle, Schultz expanded aggressively, opening cafes across the United States and later around the world. By the late 1990s, Starbucks was becoming a cultural phenomenon. It wasn't just a coffee shop, it was a lifestyle, building a company with a heart. But Howard never forgot where he came from. He remembered his father, injured, jobless, and humiliated. So he did something radical for a business of his size. He offered part-time workers health insurance and stock options. That move shocked corporate America, but it also built intense loyalty. Starbucks employees, called partners, felt proud to work there. Schultz proved that taking care of people wasn't bad business, it was good business. Under his leadership, Starbucks became a global powerhouse, with over 30,000 locations across 80 countries, serving millions of customers every single day. And yet Schultz remained humble, often telling young entrepreneurs, success is best when it's shared, leading with purpose during chaos. During the 2008 financial crisis, while companies were laying off thousands, Schultz refused to abandon his employees. He kept healthcare benefits for part-timers and continued stock rewards even as profits sank. Critics called him crazy, but that decision helped Starbucks rebuild loyalty from the inside out. By 2010, Starbucks bounced back stronger than ever, not just financially, but emotionally. Customers could feel the change. Employees cared again. The brand had heart again. Howard proved that compassion and capitalism didn't have to be enemies. The billionaire with a conscience. Despite becoming one of the richest men in the world, Schultz never forgot his roots. He often visited the housing projects where he grew up, reminding himself of the kid who used to look out the window, dreaming of a better life. In speeches and interviews, he became an advocate for conscious capitalism, the belief that businesses can make money and make a difference. He launched initiatives for veterans, offered college tuition assistance to employees, and supported small farmers across the world. Schultz once said, "Success is empty if you arrive at the finish line alone." That belief set him apart from most billionaires. He wasn't obsessed with greed, he was obsessed with impact. Venturing into politics and back again. In 2019, Schultz made headlines again, this time for considering a run for US president as an independent candidate. His goal was to bridge the gap between political extremes and bring business pragmatism to leadership. The announcement drew mixed reactions. Some admired his courage, others criticized him for lacking political experience. Eventually, he stepped back, realizing his greater influence wasn't in politics, but in inspiring leaders around the world to lead with empathy. Even without the presidency, Schultz's voice carried weight. His journey from poverty to billionaire symbolized the American dream, but with a moral spine, controversy and reflection. Of course, no billionaire's story is spotless. Starbucks has faced backlash over union issues, store policies, and corporate decisions. But Schultz's legacy remains tied to one thing: his belief in people. When asked about his critics, he said, "I've made mistakes, but I've never lost sight of why I started, to give people a place to belong." That's the difference between a rich man and a visionary. Schultz didn't just build stores, he built a culture, the legacy of a poor boy turned billionaire. Today, Starbucks stands as one of the most recognized brands in the world, valued at over $100 billion. It employs hundreds of thousands of people globally and serves nearly 100 million customers weekly. And it all began with one boy in a Brooklyn housing project who refused to let his circumstances define his destiny. Howard Schultz's life reminds us that success isn't just about building wealth, it's about building meaning. His story isn't a fairy tale, it's a blueprint for resilience. He showed that being broke isn't permanent, but being hopeless is, and that sometimes the most powerful fuel for ambition comes from pain. So what do you think? Is Howard Schultz's story proof that determination beats circumstance, or do you believe luck played a part too? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you were inspired by this story, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more powerful stories of real people who turn the impossible into reality. Because success doesn't always come from privilege. Sometimes it comes from a poor kid with a dream and a coffee cup full of hope.